HR in virtual organization, HRIS, its meaning, role of IT in HR, designing of HRIS, applications of HRIS in employee management, limitations of HRIS. Now let us understand about the labor unions. So last week also we discussed about the role of labor unions in fixing the compensation of an expatriate and in having the labor laws practices and its response towards the MNE's performance, the response of trade unions to MNEs, and also we could see non-union worker representations also. These labor unions are legally recognized as representatives of workers in many industries. The International Labour Organization is a United Nations agency dealing with labor issues, particularly international labor. That is, now we have around 185 of the 193 UN member states are members of the ILO. Here, the trade unions, the labor policies of MNEs will be discussing with respect to the role of trade unions. The International Trade Union Confederation is the world's largest trade union federation. It was formed on November 1st, 2006, out of the merger of International Confederation of Free Trade Unions, that is called as ICFTU, and the World Confederation of Labor, known as WCL. The founding congress of the ITUC was held in Vienna and was preceded by the dissolution congress of both ICFTU and the WCL. The ITUC represents 176 million workers through its 328 affiliated organizations within 162 countries and territories. Sharon Burrow is the current General Secretary of ILO, and the ITUC traces its origins back to the first international, that is also known as International Working Men's Association, and in 2014 will commemorate the 150th anniversary of the founding of the International Working Men's Association at its own World Congress to be held in Berlin. Also in 2014, the ITUC debuted the Global Rights Index, which ranks nations on 97 metric pertaining to workers' rights, such as freedom from violent conditions and the right to strike and unionize. The ITUC's primary mission is the promotion and defense of workers' rights and interests through international cooperation between trade unions, global campaigning, and advocacy within the major global institutions. Its main areas of activity include the following, that is, trade union and human rights, economy, society, and the workplace, equity and non discrimination, and international solidarity. So like this, we could see the response of trade unions and also the role of labor unions in international human resource management. Now we shall discuss about the response of trade unions to MNEs. Trade union leaders have long seen the growth of multinationals as a threat to the bargaining power of labor because of the considerable power and influence of the large multi that multinationals are neither uniformly anti-union nor omnipotent and monolithic bureaucracies. Their potential for lobbying power nor flexibility across national borders creates difficulties for employees and trade unions endeavoring to develop countervailing power. There are several ways in which multinationals has an impact upon trade union and employee interests. Kennedy has identified the following seven characteristics of MNEs as the source of trade union concern about multinationals. Formidable financial resources, alternative sources of supply, the ability to move production facilities to other countries, a remote locus of authority, that is, the corporate head office management of the multinational firm, production facilities in many industries, superior knowledge and expertise in industrial relations, the capacity to stage an investment strike whereby the multinational refuses to invest any additional funds in a plant, thus ensuring that the plant will become obsolete and economically non-competitive. Another issue reported by trade unions is their claim that they have difficulty assessing decision makers located outside the host country and obtaining financial information. The response of labor unions to multinationals has been threefold. To form international trade secretariats, that is ITSs, the lobby for restrictive national legislation and to try to achieve regulation of multinationals by international organizations. And even we could see the non-union worker representations also in the role of in the practices of IHRM, that is in the form of again the trade unions, as we know, they are the main channel of representation of workers' interest in Polish companies. However, the union's increasing marginalization and declining membership tends to hamper such representation. This feature examines the non-union employee, non-union forms of company level employee representations in place in some types of enterprises in 2002, concluding that such channels, mainly workers' councils and employee representation on supervisory boards, are limited in scope and largely ineffective. Workers' self-government has a long tradition in some country. In state-owned enterprises, this is currently governed by 1981 Act on Workers' Self-Government. That is, since its amendment we are following, which provides for workers' councils with a representative function separate from trade unions. In such enterprises, according to the legislation, workers' councils have the following rights. So, such rights, duties, responsibilities, trade unions and non-union workers also we see. The rights with respect to approving and amending the enterprise's annual plan, then making proposals for investments, adopting the enterprise's annual report and approving its balance sheet, then approving merging and divestment decisions, approving changes in direction of the development of the enterprise, deciding on the recommendation of the management on the enterprise work regulations, and adopting resolutions on the appointment or dismissal of company directors and other persons with managerial functions in the enterprise. Once we understand the role of unions in IHRM, then we have to understand the international workforce and the international HRIS system. The international workforce, so far we have discussed that is where the workforce are working with multicultural and ethnic group. That is, we could see multiculturalism, and where this helps the workplace diversity also in terms of increased adaptability, then broader service range, then variety of viewpoints, more effective execution, then challenges of diversity in the workplace, communication, resistance to change, implementation of diversity in the workplace policies, and successful management of diversity in the workplace. And also the companies, MNCs, are bound to maintain the health and safety of international assignees also. And also the responsibility also lies with crisis management, where the MNCs and expatriates also need to look at the crisis management, where this crisis management is considered as a process by which an organization deals with a major event that threatens to harm the organization, its stakeholders, or the general public. The study of crisis management originated with the large-scale industrial and environmental disasters in the 1980. It is considered to be the most important process in public relations. So variable the roles will need to be managed by the that is the management with respect to international workforce, human resource information system, then the health of the expatriates, then crisis management, then global HR shared services, the shared services like uh, that is, it's a provision of service by one part of an organization or group where that service had previously been found in more than one part of the organization or group. And managing HR in virtual organization, planning, recruitment, development, maintenance, retention, and socialization are the common HR issues that ensure right HR for right job. That is, managing HR in virtual organization also is the responsibility of the HR. Now let us understand what is HRIS. HRIS is Human Resource Information System, which is also known as Human Resource Management System. Also is basically an intersection of human resources and information technology through HR software. This allows HR activities and processes to occur electronically. Uh, Now let us understand the role of IT in HR. The role of IT we could see in HR with respect to recruitment, training, data storage and retrieval, and designing of HRIS. The role of IT in the technology has changed the business world many times over. In the information it has increased, that the impact is significant. And so now let us understand how this the role of HR we can see in recruitment. In recruitment, one way in which human resources has been significantly impacted by technology is in the area of recruiting. Before the internet, HR recruiters had to rely on print publications such as newspapers to post jobs and to get prospects for open positions and other methods such as networking also were used. But HR recruiters did not have the ability to post a job in one or more locations because of there were no HRIS systems earlier. But now the technology has made recruiting more efficient and in the hands of the right recruiter more effective as well. And again, this we are using in even in training also, that is information technology makes it possible for human resources professionals to train new staff members in a more efficient manner as well. That is the ability, it helps to access company information and training programs from remote locations and eliminates in need for trainers to work directly with the new hires on all training, and also helps and also it helps in also helps in remote locations, which eliminates the need for trainers to work directly with new hires on all training. And the third important benefit is the data storage and retrieval. Human resource professionals generally possess a considerable amount of paperwork and also have to keep much of the paperwork on file for a considerable period of time. The use of electronic imaging has made it possible for companies to store and retrieve files in an electronic format. That is, technology also makes it possible for human resource professionals to simply print the forms and that are needed for employee. Then that can be circulated among themselves. Printing on demand eliminates the need to dig through an endless number of files in the file cabinet to find what is needed. So these are the role of IT in HR. And the MNCs have to function, or the HR has to design how to design such HRIS according to the need, because one's requirement may be different from the others. So hence, based on the need, the HRIS must be designed. So while designing this HRIS, we'll be following four different steps. The first one is determination of information needs, then designing the system, implementation. Fourth one is monitoring and evaluation. First one is determination of information system. Data and information are basic inputs for decision making activity. Managers at different levels may need different types of information. Hence, identification of information needed by the managers becomes the first step in designing HRIS. And also, it also depends on work patterns, their relationships and constraints affecting HRIS. So such factors will be considered. Based on this, the system need to be designed. That is, at this stage, the flow of information is structured because we will be knowing what is required in such a manner that it is economical and matches with the information needs of the managers. It is important to mention that HRIS as a subsystem of management information system. And once it is designed based on the factors required, then the system need to be implemented and later it has to be evaluated. So this is a very important concept in IHRM, that is the use of the HRIS in the different practices of IHRM. Next, we shall understand the applications of HRIS in employee management. We have its applications in many ways, that is in personnel administration, salary administration, leave and absence increase, skill inventory, medical history, performance appraisal, manpower planning, recruitment, career planning, and collective bargaining. So these are the applications of HRIS in employee management. In all the major functions of HRM, and I will be using this HRIS. At the same time, we too have some limitations. The limitations with respect to security, cost, and staffing. So this is about the HRIS and the role of IT in HR and how to design such HRIS system, its benefits and role of labor unions and ILO, and what are the important concern, the care need to be taken by the HR about expatriates while managing the multicultural and ethnic group. So these concepts will help us to understand the IHRM practices across globe in different subsidiaries, in different MNCs. So we get a lot of information and which helps in framing the policies and procedures, HR practices. So these contents have been taken from the prescribed and reference text books given by the university. The same has been mentioned in the table.